Hey everybody, it's Michael. I'm back with another expansion overview, and today I want to show you German railroads. German railroads is of course the expansion for Russian railroads. This is the German version by Hans Glück. There is an English version by Siemens Games, although as pretty much always with Hans Glück games, this expansion is language independent. So what's in it? Basically there are 4 different modules that are pretty much independent of one another and that enhance the game in various different ways. And what I'd like to do now is show exactly what those are. Enjoy!
Okay, so this is basically everything that comes with the expansion, and now let's take a closer look at each of the 4 modules. First of all, let's start with the Germany module. Here everybody gets a Germany player board instead of the one from the base game, and basically this player board works in exactly the same way. However, it forces you to make more decisions. So for example, each of the 3 lines features the tan or natural colored track. However, like in the base game, there are only 2. So as soon as you receive them, you basically have to select 2 of the 3 lines that you want to use that track on. On the Munich line is an intersection where the track basically forks, and as soon as you would move from space 8 to space 9, you have to decide whether you want to go to Hamburg or to Berlin. The thing is, the line to Berlin is shorter, so it has only 13 spaces. You get the question mark on space 12 and the 10 colored tracks on space 9. The line to Hamburg is 15 spaces long. You get the bonuses on spaces 10 and 13 respectively. However, this is the only line on which you can get the white track. Then we have these intermediate stops like Hanover, Würzburg and Frankfurt. And the thing is, the track is not complete from there on. So basically, whenever on this line, for example, you would reach Hanover, space number 7, you have to select something to go in here. And there's a huge selection, basically for each of the 3 different sizes, because we have gaps that are of size 3, 4 and 2. There's 5 ties available in the pool, and as soon as you reach the space, you can select one, so the earlier you are, the bigger your selection. And these basically feature bonuses like those from the base game, like special question mark, token, or new worker, or doubling. However, there are some new effects. I'll come to these in a second. These are so-called income markers. And for example, you can get a train or factory, advance the industry marker, get 2 coins or 1 coin, get a second industry token, and the expansion provides one. And I think that's about it. So let's talk about these income markers. There's 8 of them, and once again, as soon as you reach one of those spaces, you can select from the ones that are still available, and then you place it into your play area. And once per round, starting in the round where you acquired it, you can exhaust it and receive the bonus. And the exhausting has to happen on your turn. It's an additional action. It doesn't replace your main action. You can do it before or after your main action, but the thing is, it has to be your turn, so you can't do it during scoring or something. And this is basically all you need to know about the Germany module. You have a new board with lots of new options, some of them very variable. Next up is the coal module, which basically introduces a new resource, coal, symbolized by these mining cards with coal in them. And basically this module introduces, I'd almost say, a new way to play, and so you have to make some preparations first. First of all, there's a little tableau that can be put on the main board, like this, so it even fits in with the artwork, and it offers some new actions that I'll introduce in a minute. Then you have 12 foundries. You shuffle them, put them in a face down pile, and reveal 2 into a common offer. Then you'll always play 1 round less in a game with the coal module, so you can use one of these crosses to remove the space for the last round. Then there's 1 new start bonus card that is placed with the other ones, so we have a bigger selection, and whoever takes this at the beginning of the game will get 1 coal. Speaking of the beginning of the game, each player will start with what they normally get, plus 1 coal, plus 1 additional coin. Okay, so what does this new tableau do? The first action allows you to get 1 coal, simple as that. The second action requires a coin, but it allows you to get 1 foundry and 1 coal. And the third space requires 2 coal, and then you can get, I think the proper English term is fireman or stoker, so I'll just say fireman from now on. So basically the guy with a shovel who puts all the coal in the furnace. Okay, so let's talk about foundries first. Whenever you get a foundry, you can select from the 2 that are face up. You'll put it into your play area and reveal a new one from the stack. Okay, so how do these foundries work? Once you have one in your play area, you can use it once per round by putting the proper amount of coal on it. And I should mention that putting coal on an action space, be it your foundry or this one, it does not replace your main action. This is an additional action that you can perform on your turn, either before or after your main action. Back to the foundries, these offer various effects. So for example, getting 2 coins, moving any 2 tracks, moving your industry marker, getting doubler markers, getting points for your highest engine, getting factories or engines, activating a space again. And once you've used the foundry on your turn, you can decide to close it down. And you can only do this if you've actually used it. And then you can turn it to its backside and it becomes a heater. I'll explain in a minute what that does exactly. And when I just said heater, of course I meant fireman. If you decide to keep the foundry open, then at the end of the round, when the scoring is done, you'll remove the coal and you can use it again next round. Okay, let's talk about the fireman. Whenever you receive one, be it because you closed down a foundry or because you used this action space, you either place it with an existing engine that you have on your player board, and that basically increases the number and thus the range of that engine by 1. And from now on, the fireman has to stay with that engine. So if you move it to another route, he goes with it. However, when you decommission the engine and put it back into the supply, the fireman will be removed from the game. Alternatively, instead of placing the fireman with an engine, you can place it with one of your factories that you've already built. And basically, when you activate that factory by moving the marker on it, whatever that factory gives you, you'll get 1 more of it. So for example, if you have a factory that gives you 1 coin with a fireman, you'll get 2 coins. If you get to select an engine or a factory, you get to do that twice. If you get 2 doublers, then you'll get 1 more, so 3. And if you get a number of points, then you'll get 1 point more. So as you can see, maybe it's not that efficient to put the fireman with a factory that gives you points, and each factory and engine can have 1 fireman at most. One final note about the coal module. This tableau has backside for 2 players only, and here basically the first 2 actions are combined into a double action. Basically, if you use the space, then you either use the top half by using a worker and get a coal, or the bottom half by using a coin and getting a foundry and coal, but then the space is blocked and your opponent or you cannot use it in the future. So that was the coal module. The next module is the solo game, and this is basically usable in any way you like. You can use the Russia player boards, you can use the German player boards, you can also activate the coal module if you like, and basically your virtual opponent is represented by this deck of cards. What you'll also need is 6 of his workers, plus another 2 which are not in play at first but put next to the 50 space on the score track. Then you use the side that is for 2 players. You also cover up the action space where you'd get 2 coins. So getting money is a little bit harder in this mode, but to compensate that, you start with 5 coins instead of 1. You also won't need the turn order markers. And you'll start off the round by giving your opponent, his name is Emil by the way, a turn. And to take a turn, he will flip up 1 card from his deck, and then he'll block the appropriate action. So for example, he would take 2 of his workers and put them on here. And then you'd take a turn as normal, and then Emil will flip a card again. So for example, now he would take 2 workers and put them on the space where you can advance your industry markers. However, there are a few exceptions. If Emil turns up a card that would block a space that you have currently no use in. So for example, if you don't have the white tracks yet, then blocking that space doesn't make any sense. So he'll flip up another card until he finds one that he can use. So we go again. The same also holds if he flips up a card which would require more workers than he currently has left, then we'd just continue. Also, if Emil flips a card whose action is already taken by you, then again you'll continue flipping cards until you find one that is applicable or go through the whole deck. Now in this case he would block the engineer that's currently available to use. And if a space needs a coin, then that coin is just supplied to him from the bank. If he would take an engine, he takes the lowest one from the supply, just as a normal player. However, of course he has no use for it. If there are no engines left in the supply, he'll start taking factories. If he hires the engineer, then he'll keep it, because the endgame scoring for the engineers will still be done. And if he has more engineers than you, then you just get the 20 points. If at the start of his turn Emil doesn't have any workers, or all of his cards are already flipped up, then he has to pass and you can do the rest of the round undisturbed. At the end of the round, Emil's workers will all be retrieved from the board, and the entire pile will be shuffled again. Then in the next round, he'll take the first turn again. Once you reach 50 points on the track, Emil will get a 7th worker. And once you reach 150 points, he'll get his 8th worker. So basically now he can block you a little bit more because he has more workers available. Once the game is over, you'll tally up your points, including the majorities for the engineers. 40 points if you have more engineers than Emil, 20 if he has more. Then you'll just take note of your score and hopefully do better and beat it next time. So that's the solo player module. And then finally we have the additional game material. There are additional of these question mark tokens, one for each player of course. For this one you'll get 4 coins. For this one you'll get 4 coal, so it only makes sense to use it whenever the coal module is active. Then with a couple of new engineers. This one is also only used with the coal module. It gives you 2 coal. These 2 let you advance various tracks. For this one you'll take the start bonus cards, shuffle them, reveal 2 and apply the bonuses immediately. And this one lets you, for 2 workers, activate a factory that you have as if you had moved your industry marker on it. It should be noted that this engineer has a number of -10, so if you use this factory to get points from your engineers, you'll actually have to apply -10. However, you cannot get negative points. And then finally we have 2 new of the question mark special cards. This one will give you a new upgrade token for your tiles, and once you have it you can't use the one from the base game and vice versa. And this one will give you 2 coal and a special new coal factory. You can only use it as a factory and you'll place it normally. When you activate it with your industry marker, then in any case you can get 2 advancements with black tracks. However, then you can give up to 3 coal, and for each coal that you spend you can move an additional 2 with your black tracks, so you can move a maximum of 8. So that's basically everything that comes with German railroads. The rules actually suggest the order in which you should introduce these new modules. First, you should start off with using the new Germany boards, and if you want you can use some of the additional game materials from module 4. Next up, they suggest to use the coal module, but with the player boards from the base game. Again, adding additional materials from module 4 as you see fit, for example the ones with coal. And then after that you can start to mix and match. And that's probably a good idea because the new player boards and the coal module change a lot of things. As for the solo mode, it's a good way to either get to know the game if you haven't played it before and you've decided to get the expansion along with it, or also to familiarize yourself with the new stuff that comes in it, the new player board, the coal module, etc. And I guess we're already done. You've seen everything that comes with the box, and hopefully you're now able to decide whether this is something you'd be interested in. So as always, take care and have fun playing. Until next time. Bye bye.